Hello folks, Dave here again from Creative Guitar Lounge. A recent subscriber of mine commented on the review I did of this Harley Benton HB 35 Plus that I bought back in November, and really liked the review that I did, and thanks very much for that. But he did ask me if I could do some close-up pictures or close-up video, close-up shots of the guitar so that he could kind of evaluate the finish for himself. So yeah, I've done that. We'll switch to that video in a second because I've done some close-up videos of just basically all of the points that I've seen brought up by people in other videos. Have to make a couple of provisos here. A lot of the videos that are out there about these guitars and Harley Benton guitars in general are quite old, and I think if you watch as many of them as I did before I bought one of these, you will kind of start to get the idea that there have been probably some pretty rough issues with quality control on these in the past, but it's pretty obvious, and my own experience of both this and the bass that I then bought have backed up that idea that their attention to detail and quality control has become very, very much better. That's Thomann, the company that sells Harley Benton guitars. So I will say that I think the price of these is incredible. They are just, for what you get for the money, I think they're just incredible. And you would be prepared to put up with a couple of kind of little tiny glitches and kind of annoying little detail things maybe. Certainly if you'd bought a guitar at this price 10, 20 years ago, you would have been looking at a whole different ballgame than you are now with these. So that's all said. I'll just quickly say on the finish, which I haven't actually covered in the close-up videos, I don't really know if this is there's obviously a kind of wood grain effect finish on these, whether that is the actual wood painted and varnished, stained and varnished, or transfers. I really don't know. I've got a 90s Japanese Fender Stratocaster, which is a reissue of 60s photo flame thing, and I know for a fact that that is a transfer, and it's similar to this, and you've got two different grains and you can quite clearly see a kind of demarcation line. So that said, let's just get on and look at the close-up stuff. I've tried to cover all of the things that I have seen people mentioning on the quality control side of things with these. So let's have a look at that now. Okay, so if we start with the just full out overall view of the finish of the guitar, is I guess a kind of tobacco sunburst. I really sort of like it's, I think from memory, the Thomann images, it looks a little bit more of a sort of redder blush sunburst, but in reality it's quite sort of yellow tobacco-y, and then as we get a little bit nearer the edges there's a kind of reddish brown out to black, which I think is a beautiful finish. I've incidentally taken the scratch plate off. I prefer the look. The scratch plate it is a little bit kind of cheap and thin, and actually I just prefer it without the scratch plate, just a personal thing. But that hasn't left any marks. I've left the screws in case I decide to put it back on, and there was nothing nasty underneath there that you wouldn't want. So kind of all good. The hardware's kind of chrome, nice looking, I think, nice and shiny. You've got those Roswell pickups which have the brand on them, kind of nice. Pickup selector switch, all good. The edge binding I think is really nice, and I don't have any imperfections on mine. I'm not going to do the whole guitar, but you know, just take my word for it. I don't have any blemishes on there whatsoever. I have heard people complaining that they have little, you know, chips and dings, especially at the neck join, that sort of thing. But I think if I go in really, really, really as close as I can focus there, it maybe has a little slightly rough finish where the edge binding joins the neck, just there, maybe. It's not something I'm remotely bothered about, especially not at this price. So I think a really nice finish, really nice edge binding. There you go, you've got a kind of, what is that, 2 blacks, 3 whites in the front edge binding. It's just a plain thinner binding on the back edge, I guess. You can just see there. I'll turn it over in a second. But as you might expect, plainer binding on the back. The F holes also have, I don't know if that's just a painted then varnished finish, but it actually does look like some kind of like an inlay. Although I could be wrong, that might just be paint, but either way, I really like it. It's really nice. And the knobs are pretty basic. They're push-pull knobs. You've obviously got, if you watch my review or if you've looked into these, you will know that they have coil taps in them, so the volume controls can be pulled out to switch both either pickup to single coil from humbucker. So that's the front. Well, we've got the neck. I personally have not found any issues with the frets. I guess if you wanted to be really, really finicky, you might want to run a little file over the edge of those, but there's nothing sharp, nothing uncomfortable. They're just quite nice semi-jumbo frets I've found, and mine are all as they should be. There's nothing sticking out, none of them are buzzing. I did give it a little bit of an action setup when I got it, but you know, you're going to do that with any guitar, aren't you? Have a look again at the neck join here, which is something I've seen complaints about. No problems here whatsoever. Round to the heel. Absolutely perfect as far as I'm concerned. And you can just see again the back edge binding is plainer, but that's probably to be expected. So I move up to the tuners. Back of those are, as I've commented myself and many people have commented, these are kind of no brand, I guess, probably fairly cheap Chinese source tuners, but they're fine. None of them are too loose, none of them are too heavy. The guitar seems to stay in tune pretty well. So again, this is when people choose these guitars to start as to customize. That's one of the things you might change, but I'm not in any hurry to do that personally. And I think the headstock looks quite nice. That little design above the HB logo is actually, it's kind of semi, I guess, iridescent, so it kind of does little quite nice things with the light occasionally, for what that's worth. And I actually don't mind the logo on top either. The nut is, as you probably again would expect, just a standard cheap plastic nut. It's okay, that is something I probably will replace myself, but I'm not experiencing, like I say, so far any tuning issues or any strings catching, anything sort of nut related. I just think the whole experience might be slightly better with a bit of a nicer nut. So that's it really, folks. I think a lovely guitar. I've had mine now for over 3 months, and I must admit I have hardly put it down. You've probably seen a few fingerprints on there. I did try and give it a little wipe, but you know, it's an in-use, constantly in-use guitar. I've done some recording with it, and I generally have done a lot of practicing and just strumming and playing. I found it a really nice sounding guitar, and it's been creatively really good for me as well. It's filled a gap in the sort of sound palette that I had with the guitars I already have. Okay, so I hope you found that helpful. If you're the subscriber who asked for this video, I hope that's kind of helped you make a decision. If you're new to this, do subscribe and let me know if you liked the video. Let me have your comments, and you know, I hope to see you in another video. But I'll just end again, as I said in my original review, by saying I think this and the bass guitar that I bought from Harley Benton, I think are absolutely superb. And people always do the for the money thing. They're incredible for the money, but actually, for even if I'd paid an awful lot more for this, I would have been really pretty happy with what I got. I've hardly put it down, as I've already said, for the 3 months that I've got it, and it's been really inspirational. I've written songs with it. I've done quite a lot of recording, and it hasn't really let me down at all. So it's been Dave's Creative Guitar Lounge. Thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll see you again. Bye bye.